Hey guys, welcome back to part two of this episode. I know that I held up four fingers there, but I swear this is part two.
Part
Um,
two.
yes, part two. I swear. Joining me once again today are Chris Shoemaker and Mason Wood. Guys, we've got a lot to talk about today with Talladega over the weekend. Talladega, Talladega, Talladega. It's like the song, Talladega.
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 Burn it up.
Sweet child of mine. Mine.
Look at this photograph. Anyway, man, we are really going on about a lot of music these past couple episodes, aren't we?
Let's see. Somebody just sang Nickelback, Sweet Child of Mine. What's happening today?
Oh, just
Taylor
a lot.
Swift.
Yeah.
No Taylor Swift in this episode.
Miley Cyrus.
No. Okay.
Oh.
Okay. Yeah, there were.
Speaking of
there
wrecking balls, Talladega.
Yeah, speaking of wrecking balls, before we get into Talladega too much, it came out Tuesday, Wednesday-ish that Austin Dillon's team received, what was it? It was a 60-point penalty with a 5-point playoff penalty for violating rules related to underwing assembly and hardware after Martinsville. We've discussed this already and what my feelings are about points penalties and playoff points penalties. You're tampering with how the season comes out before the playoffs even starts. So I've went on my rant about that a couple times in previous episodes. So I don't even know. Yeah, and I don't even know if Austin Dillon doesn't even has any playoff points this season. If he did, he doesn't have any now.
Oh, he's in trouble now. And especially he finished dead last at Talladega.
Like, okay, if say he wins a race, he's locked in, but the team does something stupid and he gets his all of his points, playoff points are gone. Is he out of the playoffs then?
No, I don't think
Maybe.
so.
I don't know. Maybe it could be like a situation last year with Denny Hamlin at Pocono with the I don't even know. I don't even
Encumbered?
remember what it was. Yeah, it could be encumbered, or just straight up or just straight up be disqualified from the finishing results to finish dead last. So I'm not sure. It could be it could be more like Joey Logano's situation from Richmond in 2017, where he won that race, and that win was encumbered, and he was no longer playoff eligible, and he missed the playoffs that year. So it could be a situation like that if they do find something with and this is just a scenario, of course, if Austin Dillon does win a race and does get an encumbered win. I don't know what the rules are nowadays because Joey Logano's deal was 6 years ago. So I'm not sure if they've updated that recently. So it's interesting to think about if something like that could happen. So that's why we watch. So I am not 1,000% certain on that one.
This playoffs are weird and don't need to be a thing.
Yeah, just playoffs bad.
Okay,
Playoffs.
should we move on to the next segment before you two blow a gasket?
Yes.
Speaking of blowing gaskets, Talladega.
Specifically Xfinity race Talladega. Talladega was grumpy on Saturday. I'll tell you what. Talladega was mean.
They made the old girl mad somehow.
Yeah. Saw some very, very nasty wrecks. Specifically on Saturday, but also on Sunday for the Cup race. But in the Xfinity race, Jeb Burton, second career victory for him. he is locked into the playoffs with Jordan Anderson Racing. How cool of a story is that? To give context for this, Jordan Anderson, I don't know if he still races in the Truck Series or not, but either way, he was injured in a race last year, in a Truck Series race last year at Talladega, with second-degree burns that came through the cockpit, and he basically had to bail out of the truck while it was still moving to prevent further burns. And Jordan started his own Xfinity team this year, um, and they are now playoff eligible with Jeb Burton. So that is a great story. They're going playoff racing. Now, granted, if there aren't, 12 more Xfinity guys winning.
Right.
But as of right now, they are in the playoffs. So good for Jeb Burton. Like I said, second career victory, first career victory for Jordan Anderson Racing in the Xfinity Series. But that is not the big headline for Saturday's Xfinity race. Blaine Perkins. Let me tell you what. That man, he went on a wild ride on Saturday. And we have not seen a flip like that in a long, long time. So what happened with Blaine Perkins is that I don't know if he got clipped or if it was the air coming around on him from the car that spun to the inside wall. Um, Either way, Perkins spun around on the back straightaway, got hit in the nose. The car lifted from the rear, and the air caught it, and he barrel rolled 7 times down the back straightaway. Thankfully, landed on all four tires. Um, and he was okay. He was taken to a local hospital just for further evaluation, and was released yesterday actually during the Cup race. Now that I think about it, and he is going to be a-okay, and would not be, and I would expect him to be in the car this weekend for Dover. But man, he went on a wild ride on Saturday.
Yeah, that was just a nasty crash. In one way, although they're two completely different crashes, I guess, that kind of reminded me of Rusty Wallace's crash in, what was it, early 90s, late 80s?
93.
Yeah. Although it wasn't quite the same thing, he was barrel rolling in a different kind of way, but it did remind me a little bit of it. It also made me think of Ryan Newman's crash in 2003 at Daytona.
Yeah. Yeah, it was just a nasty wreck. And there was a Twitter video of it that emerged of a camera angle showing it at full speed, and it was intense. It was
Oh yeah.
very, very intense. Um, reminded me of Christopher Bell's flip in his truck. I don't know, it was 2016 or so. It was just one of those things where you just can't imagine them walking away from, but they did. Um,
Thank
and poor,
goodness for the Hans device. I bet you that had something to do with it.
yeah, we will talk about the Hans device in a couple minutes, but scary ride for Blaine Perkins and poor Cosgralla. Man, the man can't catch a break.
No.
He literally hit the bouncing tire that came off of Blaine Perkins' vehicle while Perkins was upside down, and man, he had a fast car, but that did a lot of damage to Gralla's car, and it really didn't take him out of the race, but it put him back at the pack uh, for that second incident that we will talk about in a minute.
Yeah, that whole crash, that was bad.
That's just Talladega.
Yeah, made the old girl mad somehow.
been a little while since. I mean, we when was the last time we had a Flip-A-Digga? Did we have one last year? I
Not
don't think.
last year, I don't believe.
Was it Joey
Um,
Logano's?
Joey Logano 2021, I think, was the last time we had one at Talladega.
You can't
Now,
go 2 years without a Flip-A-Digga. That's the way it
now
works.
here's the thing I don't quite understand. Like about Joey Logano's wreck. Like, okay, it wasn't exactly a Sunday drive, but
But
that wreck,
it wasn't violent.
yeah, I don't quite understand why that kept making headlines and stuff because that really wasn't that bad, all things considered.
Mm-hmm.
I still don't
No,
quite understand why that's a big headline and replay because it wasn't like he was rolling at 150 miles an hour.
no, and Perkins was rolling at a high rate of speed for this one, and that's why it was so intense.
Yeah, he would pick up a speeding ticket at the school zone. He is rolling so fast.
Yeah, it's one of those things you got to say, oh, it's Talladega, you got to expect it, but it's still startling to see one of those flips because we haven't really seen one of those in quite some time.
Yeah, that's right. It has been quite a while.
I think the last time we saw a real barrel roll flip would have been like the Kyle Larson flip a few years ago, maybe, or the when he was still in the 42. I think that was a Talladega,
Yeah,
or Christopher Bell's flip in the Ford truck a few years ago at Daytona. But we
yeah,
haven't seen a lot of those big barrel rolls that we saw a lot more of in the 90s and early 2000s. We haven't seen them at all.
which is
Who was
good.
it that hit the drainage thing, the drain, and
Busher.
Busher.
oh, okay.
So we can count that if you want, but basically what happened is that the tire got caught underneath of the car at during the 600 last year at Charlotte, and it just started rolling. And it, I don't know. It was one of those. It was really unexpected because you don't associate Charlotte with flips. Now in the 80s, yes, but in the 2020s, no.
Yeah, that's true. And that was just kind of an odd crash in general.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that whole race last year with the Coca-Cola 600, that was a wacky race, but man, that was a good race.
Makes
Oh,
you
yeah.
excited for this year.
Yeah,
I
right.
I I wish I could go. I want to try to go next year, but that's a discussion for another time. We unfortunately had another big accident. We actually had two, technically, but the big one involved Daniel Hemrick with some very hard shots to the passenger side door, which also resulted him in flipping, getting into the catch fence just a little bit. He basically had a car drive underneath of him. That's why he flipped, and he was on his roof for quite some time, basically all the way from the middle turns 3 and 4 all the way um, down into the exit of turn 4, which is you also don't see that too often, but it was just also one of those bizarre flips where you're just like, did that really happen? So it's just
It looked very similar to like the block he threw and then the way the cars crashed. It reminded me a lot of 2012 Talladega with Tony Stewart,
yeah,
where just turned down a little too late and there you go, up in front of the field. It was a very similar thing, especially considering the only car that flipped was the guy that caused the wreck. Basically the same wreck. Without a Dale
yeah,
Jr. concussion, mind you.
yeah. Do you remember that 2012 race?
Oh, absolutely. I was so excited. I thought Tony was going to win. And then I was so deflated.
Yeah, nothing like your favorite driver flipping upside down. Not something I totally haven't seen a couple times before. Tell you what, I watched Jeff Gordon's flip live, and I was not happy. Yeah, that was the 2012 Bud Shootout.
I remember that.
That was not fun.
I remember that race really well because then Kyle saved the car and then he beat Tony by like a few inches.
Yeah, that's another reason to remember it. But yeah, some nasty wrecks in the Xfinity race. Thankfully, everyone is okay that we know of. But I do believe that everyone is okay, thankfully. And as we said, Jed Burton, second career victory in the Xfinity Series. We will go over. Actually, I do have the top 10 right in front of me now that I'm looking at it. Top 10 for the Xfinity race. Jed Burton, Sheldon Creed, Parker Kligerman comes up once again so close on a super speedway race. Cole Custer, Brendan Poole, Caesar Baccarella, Parker Retzcliffe, Greg Alding, Joey Gase, and Josh Williams. So kind of like your typical top 10 at almost said Martinsville for a second there. Talladega, where you still have your big guys, but you also got your mix-ins of unexpected guys in the top 10. So good to see Jed Burton get his second career victory and for Jordan Anderson Racing.
Absolutely.
So now let's talk about Sunday, why don't we? Crazy Sunday race as usual. It was also a very interesting Sunday race. Let's be honest. For a couple of different reasons, people were expecting the Cup race to just be 2x2 the entire time, like it was for most of last year. But it wasn't the case. Surprisingly, they were 3 wide for a good while, and that's what fans want to see. That's what Talladega has been known for throughout the years, and it brings up a discussion that I actually had with a friend last night. And I don't. Do you guys listen to Jeff Gluck's podcast with Belanchi?
I don't. I wish Jeff Gluck would actually unprivate himself on Twitter so I could see his tweets.
I'll be honest with you. I'm doing this podcast, but I don't listen to any podcast.
Okay, that's fair. So I listened to his episode that him and Jordan Belanchi uploaded last night, and if I can find the tweets, so NASCAR per the teardown right after the Talladega race, NASCAR in their meeting with the drivers this weekend stated that NASCAR is thinking about some rule package changes for short tracks and super speedways. So maybe we could see some new aero packages in the future for super speedways. It'll be definitely interesting to see what they can come up with. Whether that be this year or next year, I'd more than likely imagine that it'd be next year. Maybe it could be upward sign for super speedway racing because the next gen car is not known for great super speedway racing. Short tracks, it's definitely been a upward climb, but Martinsville needs some work for their short track program. But maybe, just maybe, they can find something for a super speedway package to fix a little bit of the super speedway racing.
I love the big run package from back in the day. If they brought that back, I'd be very happy.
Y'all remember the 2-car tandem?
Yes.
I'm one of the people that actually, in some ways, I kind of enjoyed it.
Back then, I was really diverse on how I felt because that was not proper, pack racing like how it was in 04, 05, 06. But looking back on it nowadays, it wasn't that bad because you would see the craziest pairings, like Jeff Gordon and Trevor Bayne, or
Mhm.
I don't know, Kyle Busch and Juan Montoya. So it was fun while it lasted.
You can get close finishes too, because guys would bail out right at the end.
Yeah, that 4x4 finish at the line at Talladega in 2011, which I still say Jeff Gordon should have won. Uh,
Not
should have
salty.
blocked. Man, yeah, not salty at all. But lost the momentum from Mark from behind. I still say he should have went down to block Jimmy, but looking back at it, I don't know if he would have been able to beat Boyer back to the line. But if you look at that back of that race, uh, it was 8 cars at the line because Edwards and Biffle. It was either Edwards and Biffle or Edwards and Kenseth, but they were hauling on the wall, just flying, and that would have been interesting to see if they could have made something happen. But still think Jeff Gordon should have won that race. Totally not biased, but um, that's my perspective on the 2-car tandem. Kyle Busch wins his first plate track in 15 years.
It's hard to believe.
It's
all the ways he's won.
Yeah. So that is his first super speedway plate win since Daytona, July Daytona 2008. So very, very long time since Kyle Busch has won on a plate track. Man, you got to be good and lucky at the same time, but that was just pure luck by KB on that one.
In another way, it doesn't feel like he's been there that long, at least to me. And part of me still considers himself a young whippersnapper.
Yeah, he's been in the Cup Series for 20 years. It's crazy. And now that you think about it, Alan Gustafson has been in the Cup Series as a crew chief as long as Kyle Busch has been a driver, because Gustafson started his career with Kyle Busch in 2004. So congrats to Gustafson as his 650th start as a NASCAR crew chief. So that is awesome to see.
And then Harvick with 800 starts yesterday.
Yeah, Harvick with 800. I know that you were hoping that Harvick would win on his 800th start, Mason, but that's not how it turned out, obviously.
I like seeing Delana up there. She's not at the track very often, so I hope that if he gets one more, if he gets one more win, if he gets a win this year, I hope she has the opportunity to be up on the pit box like the way things used to be back in the day.
Right. Now, if Harvick does win, where would it be?
That's a good question.
Because the only place that I can think of would be Michigan.
Yeah, I mean, Michigan could be. Honestly, I think he may have a really strong summer stretch. It's kind of similar to last year where he really picked up the pace during the summer. I think we can see that again. It's just a lot of tracks that they lend their hand to Harvick. Obviously, Michigan's one of his good tracks. He'll have a chance. I think New Hampshire could be one. Him and Christopher Bell battling it out for the win at New Hampshire. You heard it here first. I'm a time traveler, so I'm just letting everybody know.
Oh, are you? Okay.
Do you have a DeLorean?
I don't actually. I have just a watch. Just a little watch it's my Apple Watch. It's a new app they have. If you jailbreak the Apple Watch, and I'm gonna stop now before I get arrested. No, I'm just kidding. Oh. I've never jailbroken a phone or anything. Don't do that.
You heard it here first, folks.
Stay in school, kids.
Yeah, stay in school. Don't
stop jailbreaking your phone. There's no point.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, Kyle Busch, I hate to say that he got lucky, but he got lucky.
No, he did, and he's more. He admitted it in his post
Oh
race
yeah,
interview. He said he's like, sometimes you got to be a little lucky to win these races, but that's part of winning a restrictor plate race. If you win a restrictor plate race without any luck, then that's unprecedented.
Yeah, just in racing in general, the winners, there are three things that go into winning: skill, how much you're cheating, they all cheat,
they all cheat.
and luck. And the best champions are the luckiest. Do y'all think he makes the championship 4?
Yes. Yep, I
I
predicted
think it's
that
a
he
good
would.
chance.
Him and Richard Childress have actually done a lot better than I was expecting.
I don't know. We still got a long season to go. So we'll see how many wins they can get together. I predicted 4 wins, I think, for KB this year. So we'll see. I definitely think he'll make the championship 4. Now, if I remember correctly, I posted an article about this. My championship 4 was Larson, Bush, Blaney, and Byron.
Larson, Busch, Blaney, and Byron. Okay.
I'm still
So,
sticking to mine being Bell. One of mine being Bell. It's too early for me to pick others.
yeah, mine was the way too early 2023 championship 4 predictions, but by the midseason, I should have something up with a midseason championship 4 prediction, but we will see. So, as we were explaining earlier with the Xfinity race, there were some very nasty wrecks. We saw a brutal wreck for Kyle Larson and Ryan Preece. I've never seen a car demolished that bad in the passenger side door as it was. Now, folks will say it's concerning, and A, it is, but B, the structural integrity of the driver's door and the passenger side door are different. There's more structural integrity for the roll cage for the driver's side door than there is the passenger side door. And the reason is that the passenger side door can give and absorb the energy, and so it doesn't take it towards the driver. So that's why I just wanted to get that out of the way first before we start with this. But the literally the roll bars in Larson's passenger side door were bent. I've never seen anything like that before.
Yeah, that's the first time in a long time that I saw a car get T-boned like that.
It was
Yeah,
definitely interesting, and the photo, the one that you had sent, I saw it before you had sent it, but it still is just it's a mind blowing photo to look at with how far bent in that roll bar is. But it's kind of tough. I mean, obviously they took it back to the R&D center. They're going to do what
yep.
they can to try and make it better, but there's also not a ton that really can be done. I mean, what they have to obviously look at it and see, but there may not be a lot that can really be done. It's a hit we don't see like super often, in the sense that we don't see guys like it's not Preece's fault. Let me put that out there right now. It's
No.
not Preece's fault, but he did gas up the car. Okay, because he was trying to get out of the wreck, and he probably didn't see Larson coming off the track. We don't see a lot of those wrecks where the guy is gassed up. We don't see, that Days of Thunder style wreck. We don't see that a lot. So, the main concern for them would be, I think, what they would look at: how would things have changed if the car was facing the other way? How would things have changed if this was into the driver door? I think that's one of the things that they may really, really look at with this, because that's more the danger with this kind of accident. If this was facing the other way, this would have been a lot worse. So they may try to see what they can do on the other side of the car based off of the damage from that passenger side of the car to try and make things better. And I think that could be very helpful because it's a scary sight to see how broken that roll cage bar was. It was bent about 4 feet into the car. He could have used it as a shifter if he wanted to.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was thinking too about that time, about when last year when I think it was Kyle Larson got T-boned out of nowhere. Was it at the Indy Road Course? We talked about this last week, I think.
Yeah, it was at the Indy Road Course.
Yeah, he lost brakes or something going into turn one.
That was a nasty one too.
And that was driver's side.
Some nasty wrecks the last 2 years.
Yeah, you're telling me, and I'm the Larson fan.
Well, and it's no different. I mean, Gordon had a stretch in, say, 2007, 2008. He was part of a lot of nasty wrecks. Feels kind of similar, just Larson's winning a little bit more at this time.
2008 Las Vegas. That's what started the
That's the one I think about. That's the one I think about. In that green Nicorette car, in the freaking radiator, or what popped out of the car, the AC or the radiator, something popped out.
It was the entire radiator.
That's what yeah. Thrown across the track.
Yeah, you don't need it. I shouldn't have that diecast, but I've got 2 of them sitting in my cabinet right behind me. So they, as we said, they are taking the Larson car to the R&D center, but they are also taking the Preece car to R&D per Bob Pockras. Like 45 minutes ago, NASCAR asked SHR for the car, and they are taking it to the R&D center. So that's good. So they will be looking at, I guess, the data and what they can do to just not prevent these accidents from happening, but try to make them safer. And there, like I said, there's not a lot they can do because Preece's hit was violent. It was very violent. It was at least 140, at least.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And the fact that he did speed up, like Mason was saying, he probably didn't see him coming up. No. And that was just one of those events which that made it worse. And no matter what, like Tony Stewart said, that contact was going to happen.
Yep.
But it's the one good part about it is the car didn't get sawed in half like we might have seen in other years.
Right. You could say that those composite bodies have definitely made a difference. Look at the Tyler Reddick incident when he spun on pit road. I understand that obviously the car wasn't the same after that, but in a 2007 Monte Carlo, that thing's destroyed. It looked like the hit that freaking Gordon took into the inside wall and that knocked the radiator out. I mean, that was a hard hit for Reddick, and he ended up being okay. So,
and got a top 15 on the day.
Yeah. So these composite bodies, they've shown their worth in these, year and a half, year and a couple months that they've been a part of at least the Cup Series. They've shown their worth.
Yeah.
And they've been really good in the Xfinity Series too.
Although I still do have some concerns about them being a little bit too rigid because they are built like a tank or a brick in a bad way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's also maybe something that NASCAR is continuing to look at throughout the year and with last year with the concussions for Kurt Busch and Alex Bowman. And they did make at least tried to make the improvements that they could to the rear of the car in the offseason. So we'll see what comes out of it. As we said earlier, they have taken both the Preece and Larson cars to the R&D center. And if you guys have seen the Preece onboard in-car video, it's bad because it's violent. That hit knocked his visor up.
Yeah, I noticed that too.
You never see that.
I wonder how many G's that was.
Yeah, it was a violent crash.
I want to see that data because I remember Elliott Sadler's crash at Pocono in like 2010 or so, where he hit that 90-degree corner, whatever it was, and that's still the highest amount of G's we've seen in a NASCAR crash. I forget what the exact number is right now, but that's still the highest number that we've seen in the Cup Series, at least, or just
And
NASCAR
as
period.
crash of the century, and nobody got it on camera.
That still bothers me.
Unfortunately.
And the
I
only
remember,
one we got was some guy's camera that was really
yeah,
blurry. Couldn't see anything from it.
yeah, I remember that. I remember him saying in an interview that like it the crash was basically like a backflip because if you remember correctly, the rear of the car was destroyed as well,
Mm-hmm.
and the car hit the wall so hard that it started lifting from the front and dug into the grass from the rear, and that's what destroyed the rear.
Yeah, man, I really wish they would have got a camera on that.
Well, that wasn't the main focus of that crash because Kurt Busch was
Yeah.
wrecking.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, so yeah, so Larson and Preece cars being taken to R&D for further evaluation, possibly to see what they can do in the future. Like I said, not sure what they can do, but it's just one of those deals where NASCAR is going to get a lot of flack for this. Going to say, hey, you guys need to change this, but these changes take time, obviously. So that's why they were taken to the R&D center for further evaluation. One quick thing is that our two-stage winners on the day were Chase Elliott and Eric Almirola. Almirola made a pretty sweet move to win stage two, so that was good to see. And big points day for Elliott. I'm not sure how far back he is from the cutoff, but he made some solid ground with this day at Talladega, especially with winning stage one.
Speaking of points, none of our picks won yesterday.
Oh
No,
no,
not even close.
I thought I was in the catbird seat with Noah for a while there.
I thought I
Oh man,
was too with Chase.
I was riding pretty for a while there, and then Ross just Rossed there. Um,
Well, like I
I,
said in our chat
I don't
yesterday.
I
Go
don't
ahead.
think it was his fault entirely. Sorry. I think it was just a Talladega incident.
Well, and we talked about this in the chat yesterday because for those who don't know, we have a group chat and we talked during the race about certain things that go on. And I said that when you looked at the replay, as much as like, of course Ross got put in that situation. That was probably his exact thinking of like, of course I got put into this situation. And yeah, no, I mean, they were so stacked up on that outside line. Larson was right behind him. Like, even if he would have let off the gas to try and get off of, trying to get off the leader, he probably would have wrecked himself. He probably would have gotten spun off of Larson's bumper, or Larson would have gotten spun off the guy behind him. It was stacked up at that point. So there wasn't much that could be done. And like I said, whether Chastain got out of the gas or not, there was a Kyle Larson right behind him, and there was somebody right behind Kyle Larson. So it wasn't going to end. I mean, they're pushing in the middle of the corner. What else do you want to say? I mean, if you follow racing, you watch these restrictor plate races, one of the biggest no-nos is to not push in the corner. They pushed in the corner. Every single one of those guys on the outside lane pushed in the corner. And then magically everybody gets away with it because Ross Chastain was the one whose bumper caused it all, even though everybody's bumper was involved. So had it been anybody else in that position, it wouldn't be such a talking point. It wouldn't have been talked about. But it happened to be Ross, wrong place, wrong time. So I'm not going to say I blame him. Like you said, Jacob, it's just it's a Talladega racing incident.
That reminds me too. Speaking of that stupid move Joey Logano pulled when I think he was going in second lap down, and he just decided to pull out in the middle of the track just to get back in line. I understand that you want to get back in line, but
It was a great move, but it was also a stupid move at the same time because he was about to go a lap down, and Briscoe was picked up by the pack, and they had to race each other for the lucky dog. So
Still, that was
it's
stupid.
yeah,
He could have
that could
caused a huge wreck there.
he could have Kevin LePage the field. Shout out to those who know what that is. Um, so one last, last couple things before we wrap up today. Bad luck for Blaney and Bubba. I thought they were really in the catbird seat on the white flag lap, but as Blaney said in his post race interview, you don't get 3 blocks, and he's completely right. And if you remember with Kyle Busch and Tony Stewart in 2009, coming to the checkered flag at Daytona, Busch blocked once to the inside, fine. Busch blocked twice, coming back to the outside and wrecked himself. So it was a pretty similar situation, but where Bubba blocked 3 times and everything just gave at that point. So poor Bubba, he had a really good shot to win. So I wouldn't be surprised if he does win, Daytona later this year, or even Atlanta in July. So that's what happened to get Kyle Busch the victory.
I do want to repeat real quick, if you don't mind. I want to repeat what I said before the show about the Bubba Wallace thing, which is that he was going for the win. About 95% of us would have done the exact same thing, trying to throw the exact same block. Okay. And I've seen all the tweets, all the people on Twitter that are like, oh, you should have just stayed on the inside. You backseat couch racers. You do not know that. It was the second turn at Talladega. They were not even like a quarter of the way through the lap. You do not know, had he have gone to the bottom, oh, that's a win. Easy. So he did what he had to do to win. And yeah, of course, you can't throw 3 blocks. That's just the way racing works. But you're doing what you have to do to win the race. And things are going to happen. And it's unfortunate for Bubba Wallace, but for all the couch, racers out there, it may not have changed the outcome too much had he have gone to the inside lane. So it's a racing incident, racing deal, end of the race.
I also will say this about people on Twitter. If it happened to another driver, I don't think it'd be as much of a big thing because people love to hate Bubba.
No, if that's Corey LaJoy up there making that exact same block, everybody's like, oh my God, like, I'm so sad it didn't work. Like, there's an entirely different feel for it. And it's wrong. I love Bubba. And I think that, I'm sad he didn't get the win yesterday, but yeah, he threw 3 blocks. Ryan Blaney's right. He did throw 3 blocks, but he did what he had to do to win. This is a sport where everything in this sport is about winning. You get into the playoffs from winning. Everything matters when you win in this sport. Life is good when you're winning. He just wanted to win. You're going for the win. I would have done the exact same thing. I probably have on NASCAR Heat 5 multiple times. I've probably done the exact same thing. So, it's a racing incident, and it was a good finish. Kyle Busch lucked into it. I'm sad Blaney didn't get a win either. Honestly, though, I would have picked Blaney or Bubba to win before I wanted Busch to win. But that being said, it was a good race overall. It was an exciting finish. Obviously, we've said it in weeks past. Each and every week this year, there's been a guy that's been heartbroken at the end of a race. Yesterday, it was Bubba Wallace and Ryan Blaney.
Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah, it's just like we said, it's one of those Talladega finishes.
You're either leaving happy or heartbroken,
And NASCAR fans being NASCAR fans too on Twitter.
What else is new?
I guess in general, it's Twitter being Twitter.
Yeah. So their luck has got to change sometime. So I would not be surprised if we see the 12 and the 23 in victory lane soon. So maybe at, like I said, another plate track such as Atlanta or Daytona before the playoffs. We know that Blaney has the capability of winning at Michigan, and Bubba's a really good plate racer. So we will see in the weeks, in the next few weeks, as to where they stand as into making the playoffs. But the next race is one of my personal favorite tracks. We are going to Dover, gentlemen. I
Dover.
I love Dover. That is
Monster
such a
Mile.
that is such a fun track.
I like to race
Um,
Dover on racing games.
yeah. Before we get too far into Dover, I want to go over our top 10 from Talladega. Kyle Busch, Ryan Blaney, Chris Buescher, Chase Briscoe, Brad Keselowski. So double RFK top 5. So they're, even if it was on a plate track, so they are on the rise. Eric Jones, William Byron, Christopher Bell, Daniel Suarez, and Todd Gilliland. So that is our top 10 from Talladega. And so currently, our let's see our playoff standings right now. So as of right now, Chris Buescher is 11 above the cut line. Daniel Suarez is 11 below the cut line. Cindric is 27 below the cut line. Um, Michael McDowell, he did not have a good day yesterday. He is 38 below the cut line. Ty Gibbs is 41 below. Um, ran out of fuel on the last green white checker, so that's why he's lost so many points all of a sudden. Bubba 49 below the cut line. Todd Gilliland is 51 below the cut line. Corey LaJoy is 55 below the cut line. Almirola 72 below. Eric Jones 75. Justin Haley, he is 77 below the cut line. Let's see, Allmendinger 88 below. Preece 91 below. Austin Dillon is 117 below. Harrison Burton is 119 below, and Chase Elliott is 120 below, and good old Noah Gragson is 132 below the cut line. So
I know that makes you happy.
no, it makes me feel pain. Man, I'm riding so much on Noah. You guys don't understand.
He had a chance yesterday.
Oh man, I thought, like I said, I thought I was sitting pretty good there for a little while.
I was excited for you,
man. Anyway, we are going to Dover, one of my favorite racetracks. Unfortunately, not using the new short track package. I think it would be interesting to see how the short track package does handle there, because we've had in the past, in 2020 and 2021, the short track package that they used back then be used at Dover. So it'd be interesting to see how the short track package nowadays would handle there if they were to use it. But unfortunately, they are not using it there. So, guys, who are your picks from Dover?
Mason, you go first.
All right, I'm ready to go with my picks this week. My big pick this week, I'm not putting him in the dark horse section like I have in weeks past. Give me MTJ this weekend. I'm a big MTJ supporter. I like Martin Truex Jr. this weekend at Dover to break that winless streak. I think it's going to happen. So I'm going to go MTJ for my main pick. And then if I had to pick more of a dark horse pick, I'd actually I'm going to go with for this week's dark horse pick, I'm going to go Chase Briscoe. I'm going to go Chase Briscoe could pull one out. It's sad that he's a dark horse driving that 14 car, but it's Stewart-Haas Racing, and they've been very inconsistent. Yeah. So definitely could see a nice run out of Chase Briscoe, but like I said, I'm all in on the MTJ train this week. He's going to break that streak here at Dover, and it's gonna, because didn't he? What is it? What Dover's a historic track for MTJ, is it not?
Yeah, he's won there. It's where he got his first career victory.
It was like his first 2 victories, I thought.
First win was at Dover. Second win was at Sonoma.
Okay. Yeah, he it's a historic track for him. He won there a couple of years ago. I'm expecting big things out of my boy MTJ. Let's get that win. Let's get back in the win column and keep on rolling.
I'm thinking I'll go. My main pick will be Tyler Reddick. And then my dark horse pick would be Alex Bowman. Might be cheating a little bit there, but
I mean, that's a good pick either way. So for my main pick, who am I going to pick? I think I'm going to pick Ross Chastain.
All right.
Getting a little spicy all of a sudden. And then my dark horse pick, I'm gonna go with Chris Buescher. He won at Bristol last year, so basically the sister track to Dover, very fast, and literally, like I said, it's literally the baby sister to Dover. So wouldn't be surprised to see the 17 running up front on this coming Sunday.
Speaking of that, though, speaking of our picks, let's not forget about IndyCar. Who's y'all's picking IndyCar? I'm picking Roman Grosjean.
This weekend's pick in IndyCar. I was thinking, I kind of like Colton Herta this weekend. Just a weird hunch that I have. I'm going Colton Herta.
Yeah,
solid pick. You know what? Why not? We talked about him on the last part. I think I'm going to go with Pato.
Yeah, that'd be my second pick. Pato Award.
We're not even going to do our F1 picks because we're all going to pick Max. Let's be realistic.
Yep.
Max or Sergio.
Max or Checo. So guys, I'd say that basically that pretty much wraps up this episode. Would you guys agree?
Yeah. That's all I got.
Perfect.
Oh, wait, do we want to talk about the 75 real quick? Who do we think's going on this week? Those are two picks this week.
Well, I guess you guys go first. I got to think of two new drivers because Carl Edwards got nominated on the list today.
He did. Carl Edwards made the list today. If I had to pick two drivers, I think we mentioned it before, but Matt Kenseth still has not appeared. So I'm anticipating a Matt Kenseth appearance here pretty quick because he is. Yeah, because he is a champion. And then we talked about it the other day. Ricky Rudd. I think Ricky Rudd.
Yeah.
He'd be a good pick. I don't think he's on the original list. I could be wrong. But Ricky Rudd would be a good pick. What about Jeff Burton? Is Jeff Burton on there?
Well, I think one of the Burton boys was.
If Casey Kane gets on the list,
I could be wrong though. I think Jeff did get in.
If Casey Kane gets on the list, then Jeff Burton should.
Let's take a look.
I'm pretty sure he did.
I'll tell you in a minute, Chris. Who are you picking this week?
I was gonna pick Matt Kenseth and Bobby Labonte.
Yeah,
Bobby Labonte.
I don't know how he's not on there yet because he's a champion. He had some good, consistent runs, just like Matt Kenseth.
So if I had to pick two, let me think about this. I'm going to go with one obvious one not. I think Kyle Busch will get announced this week because he just won Talladega this past weekend. Mm-hmm. And who would be my second pick?
Don't pick Ricky Rudd. He's already on the original list.
I thought he was.
Yeah, he's on the original list.
Tell you what, I'm going to go with Dale Jarrett.
He's on the original list. So Dale Jarrett's also on the original list.
Man, I have to pick another driver. All right, Dale Jr.
Dale Jr.?
Yeah.
We know he'll be on there at some point.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he's got 26 career wins. Newman is the lowest of guys on that of the new 25 drivers. Newman has the lowest bar of 18 wins. So that's kind of where the bar has been set there. Junior's at 26, huge ambassador for the sport. He better be on this list.
Now, Mason, since you have Matt Kenseth, I'm going to go with somebody else. Ron Hornaday.
Yes.
100%.
Yep.
It's a great pick. What about Matt Crafton? That's what I was going to say. What about Matt Crafton? My boy Matt Crafton. He's got, 3 championships in the truck series? I would not be – Crafton's going to be on there.
one which should not have been earned, but we won't talk about that. Exposing the system right there.
Absolutely.
Guys, I think if we got nothing
think-
else to say, I think that's going to be it for this episode.
Yeah, I think that wraps us up. Good episode this week. I hope everybody enjoyed this week.
Yeah, I hope you guys, whether you are watching on YouTube or listening on Spotify, I hope you guys enjoyed the 2 parts that have been uploaded this weekend, or not this weekend, this week. So enjoy the races that are going to be taking place this coming weekend. We've got, to recap, we have F1 in Azerbaijan, IndyCar in Alabama, and we have Xfinity and Cup on Saturday and Sunday at Dover. I don't know if we've got trucks this weekend.
No trucks this weekend. Trucks
No
return May
trucks?
6th, Saturday, May 6th, 5 p.m. for Kansas. So
For
we'll be talking
Kansas.
about that next episode.
Kansas. So that'll be fun, guys. So give us a follow on our socials and look for us on Backsports page. If you guys can find me on the motorsports side of Backsports page, and you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at JWBarker24. Where can we find you guys on BSP and on Twitter?
Well, you guys will find. Go ahead, Chris.
My BSP handle is on. It's just my name, Christopher Shoemaker. I might be having an article coming out soon. We'll see. And I got a new Twitter name, by the way. I decided to change it to something that's more rememberable, and shameless plug for the show. Memorable? Did I say rememberable? Memorable.
It's fine.
It is. It's CJ Outside Line.
Makes it nice and easy.
Yeah. Shameless plug.
All right. And then for those of you guys looking for some of my content, I'm going to be really busy this week as an NFL writer doing the NFL draft. So be on the lookout for all NFL content coming out this week. I'll have some motorsports content. I'm still working on an untapped potential for a NASCAR driver. So hopefully that'll be done here pretty soon. I'm just trying to get through all the draft stuff. Check me out, Mason Hollywood 6 on Twitter, Mason.wood01 on Instagram. And then on Twitter, you've got my link tree that'll take you to my page on Backsports page.
You heard it here first. Untapped potential, Jeff Gordon.
You're writing that. I'm not writing that. That's your job this week.
Yeah. So thank you guys so much for watching on YouTube and listening on Spotify, and we will catch you guys next week for another great episode of The Outside Line. See you guys then.
Bye-bye.
See ya.